Yeah, that was really good. I thought I was sitting there thinking like I was going to go first, and I didn't have to follow Kathy, and I'm like, oh man, like she's going to do so well, and I'm not going to do anywhere near as good as her. But I'll do my best. I'm going to be speaking about finding God's balance. I actually had this message like a bit different, but everyone knows how God is. Like I was in the shower tonight after I finished work, and I was like, just having a bit of a pray or whatever, and then next thing you know, the message is different. So cheers God, like. But that's like now if I have to read my phone a lot, I've got an excuse because it got changed tonight. So there'll be 4 main points to this message. The first point is where are our efforts being put? We've all heard the saying, don't put all of your eggs into one basket. But I find just as important as that, we need to make sure that we are not putting our eggs into too many baskets. Yeah. Otherwise, we will be wasting our time and losing our connection with God. Just like that, that's something I have like a bit of a struggle with, is where I'm putting my eggs and making sure that I'm doing the right things at the right time with God. For example, we had the young adults gathering a few weeks ago, and I was supposed to be fighting on May the 7th in Sydney, and I was in my fight camp, and I was ready to go. And that means when you're in fight camp, that means you're training 6 nights a week, like flat out, like multiple hours, multiple sessions in one day. And basically, I found out that my opponent had pulled out of wanting to fight me, and so I had no opponent, so that meant, I was like a bit more free. And if my opponent didn't pull out, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have come to the gathering on the other week, as well as I probably wouldn't have been here tonight, and now I'm speaking. So it's funny how God works and, forces your hand in a different way. My second point would be, how do we know what is a God thing and not just a good thing? This can be quite tricky. I've found in my life sometimes when I've heard from God, it has only been a small part of what He has been trying to say. And I'm like, and if left to my own devices, I could have ran off and started doing what I thought God wanted me to do and got it completely wrong. We need to make sure. I'm just going to swap hands. There we go. Just getting a bit tired. Too heavy. No. We need to make sure we are seeking confirmation from God. Seeking confirmation from what God has been saying to us. We need to have people in our lives that we have put there, and God has put a spiritual authority over us. Actually, I'm going to say it again because I didn't say it properly, and it's a pretty important line. We need to make sure, we need to have people in our lives that we have and God has given spiritual authority over us. For example, when I feel like God has told me something, I will seek the advice of Pastor Tim or Matt, our young adults leader. For Matt, our young adults leader. These are 2 people that I have and God has given spiritual authority over myself. And the third point is, are we okay with what God is saying? There was a time where I was going to see Pastor Tim quite a bit about a lot of things. And the things he was telling me were the best things for me to do, but not what I wanted to hear. So there was a stage where I stopped asking for his advice because it wasn't what I wanted to hear. But I thank God because Pastor Tim never pushed me, just gave me his advice, and eventually I found out after time that every bit of advice he has ever given me, has ever given me, Has ever given me, or sometimes may not have been what I wanted to hear, has always been what I needed. You see, this comes down to spiritual authorities God has placed in your life. Because Pastor Tim has never just told me what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear, his advice has always been God-centered in my life. I could imagine that God. This is just a thought that I had a few weeks ago, and it sort of ties in like this with our spiritual authorities, and whether or not we're choosing to listen to them. Have you ever been watching a movie or something? Watching TV or a movie, and something bad is about to happen to the main character, and you find yourself leaning forward like, oh wow, something bad's gonna happen, something's gonna go down, and leaning forward, and you're leaning forward, and you find yourself yelling at the screen, you're like, no, don't go in there, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Find yourself leaning forward, yelling at a TV screen. Hannah's calling me. Should I answer, make it heaps awkward? Hey baby, I'm up the front of the church speaking.
No, you're not.
Yeah. Alright, love you. Alright, see ya. Classic. Now I've got to find it again. That's right. That just broke the ice. How good was that? That was perfect timing. Yeah, I've lost where I am. Movie. Thank you. So you find yourself leaning forward, yelling at a TV screen, like, no, don't go in there. And it's like, have you ever thought about it in a different context where, our pastors and God and, the spiritual authorities in our life, they can see us we're about to step into the wrong situation. We're about to get ourselves into a bind that we can't handle. And, and the thing is, unlike the TV, we can actually hear them. And it's like, they're like, no, don't do that. And you're just like, can't hear you on TV. No. No. But could you imagine the frustration of God and our leaders? They know that, we shouldn't be going down those paths and we shouldn't be doing those things. But, that comes down to us, being open to what they're saying and what God is saying to us. Okay. Just, with the spiritual authorities, in Proverbs 19:21, it says, listen to advice and accept instruction, that you may gain wisdom in the future. Many are the plans in the mind of man, but it is the purpose of the Lord. And I looked at that and I was like, what does that even mean? Many are, many are the plans in the mind of, and I was just like, that doesn't even make sense, that weird bit. But I was like, I went and got advice off my dad, and I was like, what does that even mean, Dad? And he's like, man might have a plan, man might, have many ideas or whatever, but it may not be God's purpose. And I was like, ooh, that's pretty deep. That's good. I like that. That's good. So write that down if you want to. I'll tell it to you again. Proverbs 19:21, because everybody needs a spiritual authority in their life. So if you don't have them, find them. Okay. And the fourth point, and I find this is probably 100% defining point of what I'm speaking about, because it's helped me more than any other points along here, because they're all obviously useful and they're all obviously good, but this point is, it's good. Just show up and thank God. Simple as that. Just don't stop rocking up. Just like everybody else here, I've had hard times in my life. I've had hard times in my life, but if I can give one piece of advice, it is to thank God no matter what the circumstance. This may sound totally strange, but if you can thank God in the hard times, you may not understand them, but God's favour will be on you. It's hard. It's hard to thank God sometimes. Like last year, one of my earlier this year, one of my best friends I've had since I was 4 years old committed suicide, and it's like that freaking sucks. Like but it happens, you know. Like people die, you know. Like, and I've like not to big note myself or anything like that, but I actually found myself. I was like after bawling, I found myself like just sitting there, and I was like, I don't know why I'm saying this, God, but it's something that I've always do. Is my friend just died, but I said thank you, God, like, because who knows, like, it's obviously like it's not God's plan for him to kill himself, but in him, in that happening, like something good will come out of it because God uses everything. So I just want to just say this quick bit. I wasn't going to whack it in there because I don't 100% fully know the story, but it's in the Bible when, I don't know if people have heard the story of Job, but he was a man that was very wealthy, had like 10 children, seven sons and 3 daughters, and was living a really, really good life. And God tested him. God was testing him, and basically he lost his sons, his daughters. He lost, like, on multiple occasions, like everything he had just kept going and going and going. And eventually, like, he got sick, like really sick, like couldn't even sleep because his skin was like on fire, like all the time. And the whole time he stayed faithful to God, and the whole time he thanked the Lord. And eventually, like, you're like, how could you come back from that? Like, you've lost everything. But in the end, because he was so faithful to God and he thanked God through the whole situation, God blessed him. And he had 7 more sons and 3 more daughters, and he was more wealthy than when he first started off. And he lived, lived a very, very long time. So I think, like, I'll just stop for a second, like, because I feel like it's like, some people here, you need to hear it. But, like, no matter what happens, like, if you can take it in any way, like, no matter what, you need to thank God through every situation, because, to be honest, we're only people. Like, things won't make sense to us, but obviously, we've got a higher power of God, and God sent his son, Jesus, to die on the cross for us. And, like, he made everything, so it's his anyway. So if we lose everything, it's his. If anything happens, it's his. And if we can come back from it, it's because of him. So no matter what, thank God. Thank you.